everybody, thank you for tuning in to... Jeez, dude. Hey, everybody, thank you for tuning in to episode number 56 of Teddy Bears and Tentacles podcast. This is like the third time that we've tried this
It's the
intro.
third time today. Yes.
But I am your host, Quinn, and I have with me today my co-host, Skinny Rick.
I'm also here in this exceptionally cold building.
Yeah, it's real cold here.
And imagine if someone opened the fridge and never closed it.
Yeah.
And then you walked in.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
That's the house we're in.
Yeah. It's in the 30s today, which is pretty cold, dude. So
I think, what is that, dude? What do they call that?
cold.
What do they call that, dude? Winter, magic Santa weather or something.
Yeah. Winter, yeah.
The sky might be doing some snowflakes on you if it decides.
Yeah, snowflakery.
Yeah.
So we are going to have a kind of a short episode today. We are back from another little break, and so...
holiday break.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about kind of what was going on there. Skinny Rick went out of town for a family emergency-ish.
It was a funeral.
Yeah, a funeral.
Something
So sorry about your loss,
I mean,
Skinny Rick.
it was one of those things I told people. It's like, it wasn't surprising. So it was my great grandma. She hadn't been doing well for the past like 2 years. So
Yeah.
it's not like surprising, but it's also,
Yeah, it sucks still.
Yeah.
But like I told you, man, most people don't ever even get to meet their
we're doing it again.
great grandma. So
I'm getting mad at the switcher.
yeah,
Yeah,
we're having
I
Bluetooth issues
I got
here.
I grew up with her.
Yeah.
I knew
Yeah.
my great, like, it wasn't like, oh, this is some family member that you've never seen, you know.
Yeah.
There were people at the funeral that I swear I've never met in my life that were like, oh,
Yeah.
or ooh, we gotta
Yeah.
bleep that out. So I ruined it.
Yeah.
But
We'll just
Skinny
remember.
Rick at the
Okay,
funeral.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got to see my cousins and my grandparents and everyone, so it was good.
Yeah, that's good, man. And as far as kind of everything else that's been going on for me, I've been just kind of disconnected from this whole thing, which, may or may not be surprising. I mean, a few things have kind of happened that pushed me away from really political content in general, and most of it is that accuracy in today's culture. And by accuracy, I mean journalistic accuracy, getting actual facts and stories that are accurate.
The truthful levels.
Yeah, it's not really out there anymore. And so I just got kind of disinterested, which isn't the best for the state of this podcast, but we're gonna get it back going. We're gonna get it, it'll be stronger than ever. But yeah, I mean, it kind of sucks. I am friends with a lot of people that are Republican, outspoken Republican people, and some of them are doing okay with kind of everything that's going on right now. Some of them aren't, and are just kind of devolving into, and we're going to talk about, we're going to talk about a little bit of that, in a little while. Some of the stuff that's been kind of bothering me, but other than that, that's kind of been what's going on. We're going to move back to more of a topical based podcast format. I don't know if we've talked about that, but for this one in particular, it's going to be a little shorter. I do want to discuss something that is kind of relevant right now, and that is the Project Veritas videos that dropped last night. So yesterday morning, James O'Keefe, who, he's the founder of Project Veritas, and if you don't know who Project Veritas is, and you're a listener, basically who Project Veritas is they are the media company that produces the content that'll be like two people disguised as like a pimp and an underage prostitute go into a Planned Parenthood, and the Planned Parenthood employee, tells them how to manipulate kind of the system, that kind of thing. They were the ones that had the ABC Insider that released the video of that one news reporter that had talked about them having the Epstein story for a few years, and that they kind of put they kind of squashed, them being able to report on it.
Yeah, they do a lot of bamboozle.
Yeah, they do a lot of bamboozle, a lot of insider type stuff. It's like I don't want to say whistleblower, but it's a pseudo whistleblower style company. And so for this particular one,
I would say, like, what I see them report on is they're not really reporting on.
They're not reporting anything.
They're not. Yeah, they're not like. They're not reporting news, and really, because there is some good stuff that I've seen from them, but
most of
they
it
really
is.
are sort of just like the tattletaler,
Yeah.
They're trying to snitch on the other media.
Yeah.
That's their thing.
Yeah, in some sense,
and a lot of also, like you were saying, undercover stuff.
Yeah.
It's not really like, it's not news in the sense of like, oh, this week, we had this happen. It's a lot more, they're trying to find out some secrets.
Yeah.
Is what's going on.
Yeah, it's very, intel adjacent, kind of deal.
It's like it here's what it is, and I'll tell you. It's if some guy was doing an intelligence.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all it is. Is it some guy, and I mean, he's got a group obviously, but it's this guy who was like, I'm just going to be the person that finds out.
Yeah. And so, that's what he's doing. And he kind of produces, like we were talking about, two different types of content, the undercover type stuff. He also does stuff like cuts up different stuff that people don't pay attention to. So he had done some on the some of those CEO tech hearings in Congress a while back, where he just, they had cut up some of the videos type stuff. But he live streamed on Periscope yesterday for a few months now. They had a CNN insider who I'm guessing is, a pretty high up trusted person based on the fact that, Jeff Zucker was one of the people in that meeting, which Jeff Zucker is the president. Basically someone had allowed him into this conference call that they have every morning at 9 a.m., CNN execs and higher ups and stuff like that. And so he live streamed him kind of eavesdropping it, unmuting his mic and saying, hey, more or less confronting them. And, I just about everything that they've released up to this point, I really like the content that Project Veritas puts out a lot of times, but in today's climate, in my opinion, this is not, this type of content isn't at all helpful or, have a ton of value. And what I mean by that is so far, and I'm sure that they have more that they'll release, but they've put out 3 videos. One video is of a couple CNN execs on this line basically saying, hey, post-election with Trump, allegedly losing the election and failing to concede, we don't want to give him a platform to kind of push this narrative that he's doing. That was one of the things that they said. Another one was the transition, how the way that they report on this transition is important because with the Bush and Clinton transition, there clearly was an opening that was left there, through the media and the way that they were reporting on that transition. In the 9/11 Commission report basically points out that didn't help that situation. It just kind of made our country look more like we were in turmoil than we actually were, and it was just the way that the media was pushing it. There's an issue that I have that is not related to Project Veritas with that particular one, and that is how people are interpreting it. This lady is basically just saying, remember what happened with the Twin Towers. We don't want that happening again. And there are some conservative people that are, more or less saying that this lady is threatening some form of 9/11-esque terror.
That's not the impression that I got.
Yeah, and it's not that I did either. I have two things to say about that. One, shame on that person if this particular person that I'm talking about, if that interpretation is wrong, because it is. And I just don't think that the way that this stuff is getting covered helps people's mentality whenever it comes to this stuff. I have had stuff shared with me that has no evidence behind it. I've had stuff shared with me that is just completely BS. I had somebody that I work with tell me that Congresswoman such and such was texting my cousin. Okay. And whenever I asked, well, if they're that accessible, can your cousin get them on the phone for me? No, no, this is the type of stuff that we have going on right now. And it's unfortunate. I don't want to get into it. My personal opinion is that at the end of this thing, Joe Biden is going to be our president. And it's not because I want Joe Biden to be our president. And I don't want Donald Trump to be our president. I think that that's just what the result of this thing is going to be. But I haven't met anyone, period, that does not believe that Trump didn't win this election, that takes a right-wing stance. And it's worrying me because no one's going to be prepared for, first off, December 4th or 14th or whatever is coming up, where the Electoral College is going to name this thing, and then inauguration after that.
Here's my take on it, right? And we've talked about this a good bit now, but Joe Biden is, as of right now, going to be our president. Mm-hmm. And I don't think we're going to change that. However, I'm not going to dismiss any of the voter fraud allegations until we see them through. Now, I'm not suggesting that Joe Biden not step into office, because until we can prove that he didn't win, he won. Like, that's the situation.
Well, until the Electoral College puts their votes, that's not even, all it is the media declaring.
I mean, yeah. But you get what I'm saying. It's like, I am a fan of the process.
Yes.
So if the process says that he's the president, he's the president. But if there is all this mass voter fraud and we find out that, the numbers were fudged, then I don't think he should be. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And either way, I believe that he's going to be in office for at least some amount of time. There is going to be a point where he is in office. That's going to happen.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about it.
Well, we've already, our last episode that we did was on
voter fraud,
past voter fraud. And so
it happens all the time.
Yeah. It's not that I don't believe that there's not voter fraud. I definitely believe that there's voter fraud. I think that, and I think that it should be investigated. What I'm saying is that at the end of it, and it's going to be investigated because it is being investigated. I think that at the end of it, it's going to be, hey, we found all this stuff, and there's definitely still some percentage of votes that are there that aren't, and that then they're going to go, Joe Biden still won this thing, and nobody's prepared for that. And that's what I'm talking about.
Okay. I get what you're saying. Personally, I disagree. I think that there is, I think that there is enough to make it the other way around. And when I say I think that there is, I think that is a very real possibility. However, if that comes out not to be true, then it's just not true. There's nothing. I guess my point is I wouldn't say that there's necessarily nobody, because, I am fine. I'm fine with him being in office if that's how it works. But the thing, and when I'm talking about all this, I'm not necessarily a fan of Trump. I just, like I said, am a fan of democracy. So if we're not gonna do that, then I'm not okay with that. So as long as it comes out to be a fair election, I'm all good.
So
if it's not, I don't think it should be. I don't think it should be,
my question to, and I agree 100%. If democracy gets thrown out of the window in this process, it's never going to get,
we'll never get it back.
Like, I consider myself like a patriotic person. I like America. I like democracy. I like capitalism. Does it have issues? Yes. Like, can things be fixed? Yes. But for the most part, I think that reform should happen with what we already have rather than tear down and build back up.
That's the same way I feel about it too.
Type thing. My thing is, the way that the media has covered this entire election, and really even Donald Trump's presidency in general has, it's already broken the country down to the part that our democratic process won't be trusted. So let's say at the end of it, my question to you would be, if you believe that is enough voter fraud to switch it, what is the evidence that you would need to convince you if there was still voter fraud, but not enough to switch it, and you are okay with it, but there are a lot of people that aren't. There are a lot of people that won't be convinced of that.
And I'll tell you right now, my response will be the exact same to the last election with the whole "not my president" thing. Yeah. It still is. Yeah. That's at the end of the day, all that we're gonna have is exactly what we had during the last election. Yeah. That's all we're gonna get. We're gonna get a bunch of people who want to sit around and talk about how Joe Biden isn't their president, and it's literally gonna be laughable because of the fact that it'll be a total 180.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
People, there are just gonna be immature people and people who are. I really think it is selfish, personally, if you're not. There's a whole lot of problems that I have with the whole party system, but if you're not willing to take turns in a sense, because that's all that really happens is we sort of have this back and forth. Yeah. Everything's always shifting, and the thing is that if it happened fair, if Joe Biden got elected in a completely legal manner, then he's the president. That's how it works. Yeah. I also don't think that people should be as concerned as they are when it comes to the president. You get what I'm saying? This is my biggest problem is we have a lot of the time when elections come through is that Republicans will take power or Democrats will take power. And the reason we have so many different, different positions in the government is so that it's not all left to one person. So the fact that we are so concerned about the president just shows that we're not doing it right if we're worried that this one person is going to have the power to change our country for the better or worse by themselves, because that's not the way it's supposed to be designed. So really what needs to be happening is there needs to be more balance, because if we actually want to make progress, you need Republicans and you need Democrats in office, because you're going to have people who are more progressive, who are wanting to change things, which is good because that's how you see change happen in a good way. But also you have people who are more conservative who are wanting to keep things in place. And you have that, and it is a struggle because people disagree and they butt heads, and it's going to cause arguments and it's going to cause some stress. But at the end of the day, it can't be, we never change anything or we just throw everything out the window. Yeah. I think that the idea of this 2 steps forward, 1 step back, just slowly making our way, that seems stable to me. Yeah. And what happens is we don't do that. Instead of having a balanced amount of Democrats or Republicans in office, everyone wants to swing one way or swing the other way, and they want to have all the power and they want to have their party control. That's the problem. It's not the president. It's the fact that the parties can't figure out how to get along in a manner that's productive.
Yeah. But
because the president at the end of the day, is just one person in the machine. Yeah. Do they have, are they at the top? Sure. But at the same time, they can't just do whatever they want. They're not a king or a queen,
But that doesn't do anything for, look, some of the people that I'm friends with. Okay. And there are some of those people there's no, at the end of this thing, it's corruption all the way. If the process happens and democracy happens, and at the end of it, Joe Biden is named president, even if you have Donald Trump get on the thing and
say,
say,
yeah.
look, we got all the evidence and he just won. There is and whenever I say a large percentage, I'm not talking about 3% of Republicans or 10% of Republicans. I'm talking about more like 97% or 90% right now are convinced that this election is rigged. And how many of those at the end of that are going to distrust the process
also
itself?
The majority of America, who was it that ran the poll and they found that 60% of people in America believe that the election was rigged?
I don't
remember what it is, but there is a lot of people in America in general who believe that the election was rigged, and I'm just gonna say the same thing. It's like we can be concerned about it, but at the end of the day, if people are gonna let their feelings get hurt over this, like that's on them, and it's no different than what happened in the last election. It's just a different party, and that's my point. Is that we had all these people who hated Donald Trump when he got elected, like the amount of rioting and stuff that was happening and the violence in the streets when he got elected. All that's happening is that those people were the ones who were upset, and then we're going to have the Republican Party be upset. Now, I'm not trying to say anything about, we're going to have rioting and violence and stuff in the streets. I don't think so. Like, I don't think that's going to happen to the same level. But at the same time, like, I think that people should be concerned if it was rigged. Like, the numbers don't make sense when you look at them. Like, that's the biggest thing. Places where there were more votes than there were registered voters. Like that's just not possible. Like, the amount, I guess, of situations where there's issues with the numbers is what people are concerned about, because then it raises the question, how long has this been happening? Have we been letting the elections be rigged for people are concerned that they've been living, and we talk about it all the time, like when it comes to the conspiracy stuff, if you even want to call it that. I guess it would be considered a conspiracy, but it's also very real. It's like there are positions, or there are like organizations that sort of run things behind the scenes, in a sense of, like, even us talking about the CIA stuff. It's like there is stuff happening that we don't know about that is impacting the world, like happening in and from America. And so it's a lot of people who maybe didn't actually believe that before that are now waking up and realizing, wait, hold on, something's not right. And I think that if you're going to look at it like it's something to be upset about, like people's response, people's actions, yes, that's one thing, but the concern itself, I think, is a good thing, because it's causing a lot of people to be more aware of their surroundings. However, I do think that if it is a fair election and people are out here going, well, no, like, I don't believe it, that's on them for being, not necessarily ignorant, but almost they're like in denial, if that makes sense. Yeah. And I think we found ourselves in a bad situation, and it's super easy for the parties to point fingers at each other. But at the end of the day, we all still live here. And if we can't figure out how to put aside our differences and work together as a people, then we are not united. Yeah. And we're living a lie.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. It's, but most people don't have the ability or
the desire to get past
even.
And that's the sad part to me, is I wish that people would. Yeah. I can guarantee you, and I can guarantee you this because I have family that's like this. If you were to sit down with someone who has totally opposing political views from you and have a normal conversation, you would find out that you're not that much different.
Yeah, for sure.
You would find out that you actually have more in common than you have not in common. And it's too easy to write it off as us versus them, because that's not the case. Because if that's what you're thinking, if that's your approach to the conversation, you've already lost. not in a debate sense, but you've already lost like your ability to connect with this other person who is an American who lives in this country with you and is a functioning member of society.
Yeah.
That's the problem, is that we have people who are trying to go to war with each other, and all it's doing is tearing us apart.
Yeah.
And it's
the media and it's social media that does it.
Yes, and I personally believe that the media is a huge part to blame for why we are in the boat that we're in right now, because they did not stop running content to tear down our president since he got elected. It has not stopped. It has continued, and it's still going. And there's a difference between reporting and fueling hate. You get what I'm saying? And all of the mainstream media, all that they've done is actually stirred up hatred in people and manipulated people to the point where now, like I had someone online the other day, I made a joke or something, and it probably was not very politically correct. However, everyone there was laughing except for this one person, and they immediately started being like, "Oh, well, you're probably a Trump supporter." And I was like, what does that have to do with anything that we're talking about right now? Like, we're playing this video game. I made a joke, and now it's politics. Like, that's the problem. Is we've gotten to the point where we've got people who are, as soon as they find out, if they think, not even if you are, if they think that you support Trump, that's it, dude. You're the enemy. You're the worst person alive to them. And then you have vice versa. You find out people who are, and not to be, I'm not trying to get too into this, I guess, but even just some of the people we know, it's like there are some people we know that do support Trump that like to push buttons, that like to get a response from people. And that same thing is the problem. They find out that, like this person's I don't even know what word to use. People, the other way around, people are like, "Oh, you're a Trumper or a Trump supporter, whatever."
Liberal,
I guess. It's really not a great word to use because that's such a wide range of people. But yeah, it's the other way around. All that they've done is the media has created this divide in our nation. And I think that they should be held accountable for it, because if they want to be playing off the rules of, well, you can't say this because it's misinformation, and you can't say that because, this is hateful towards this person. Like, all that they have done is caused hate in people's lives here in our nation, and we're just allowing them to go unchecked because they're it's the news. Yeah. It's not the news, dude. It's propaganda.
Yeah. It's all fueled by misinformation. Here's the problem: none of it's accurate. 100% of it is inaccurate, and it's not. I'm not saying that based on like, hey, here's this thing. Here's this one place that you can go to. You can get your accurate news here. There's not that.
There's not. They don't have that.
And it's unfortunate. Here's and everybody falls for it. We fall for it. Not to pick on you. Here's an example. 60% of Americans
go ahead.
Polled. A poll says that 60% of Americans believe that, but I didn't get polled. You didn't get polled. Yeah, exactly. So who got polled? Is it?
Well, that's the thing.
It did the 1 point.
It's not actually. And that's the thing with any poll, really. It's not ever going to be actually everyone. It's they take a small group of people and the percent of that, and they try to. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but
and I'm not saying that that's right. I'm just saying like, I'm not even talking about reporting in the sense of whether the numbers and the information itself is true. It is the bias and the way that people report stuff. It is always negative. There's never something positive. Like it is, the media is, if it's a left, pretty much if it's not, I guess, Fox, it's going to be vomiting on Trump. And then if it's Fox, it's
it's defending him.
It's defending him, and then even then, sometimes there's stuff that they're not reporting now.
Here's the thing.
No one. It's like it's no one's reporting information. I don't get to find out in the news. Oh, Jimmy's, 10 restaurant down the street is doing a thing this weekend, and everyone should come. There's none of that. It's all, and then they said, this person said, it's all bullcrap. It's just a narrative that everyone's trying to push against each other.
That's because it doesn't. That's because it doesn't. Those are the things that stimulate people. I mean, unfortunately,
that's our fault.
Yeah, for sure.
That's our fault.
For sure.
The American people. That is our fault for
definitely.
letting that be what fuels us.
Yeah. Sure. Here's the thing.
We have moved so far from being a country that is united to the point where now we really shouldn't even be talking to each other. Could you imagine if like you were saying, the states were separate countries, we weren't united? Could you imagine like the difference between like people in southern Georgia and then people in California, like trying to like if they ran into each other, like if we were next to each other as two separate countries, what would happen? It would not work like that. And that's our fault for letting us get to that place. People need to stop thinking so much about themselves and check themselves and start realizing that you're not the only person in this country. Your friend group, your echo chamber that you live in is not the only group in this country, that we are too diverse to be doing this. Like we have to find out how to work through it together or we will fall apart. Like we will not have this country. We will not have this if we stay on the path that we're on. And I'm scared for myself, dude. I'm exceptionally young. Okay?
Sure.
I was excited to live in this country for a long time. But since the last election till now, all it has been is hate. And in every day I get more afraid that we're going to lose what we have. We're just backtracking. We're not making any progress. And to blame it on anyone specific or anyone else that's not you, that's the problem. Yeah. Like it has to start with you. That's just how it works. That's how change happens.
I mean, I'm going to continue always to blame the media for a lot of it, man. I mean, they know what they're doing.
They know exactly
what
they're
doing.
And it's the money.
This is what we want to talk about, or this is what I wanted to talk about today, and we'll just go ahead and talk about it real quick. Was the thing that woke me up and got me into conspiracy and all this stuff. I don't think that we've ever talked about that, and that is that I spent the vast majority of my adult life addicted to heroin, and
which I did not do. That one.
I grew up in a great family and a nice home, and I mean, not to be braggadocious, but my dad made a lot of money, and that type of deal. It never made sense to me, and I don't remember how it happened, but I ran across some MK Ultra stuff, and through research, I just realized hey, I kind of just fell for this trap that was set for somebody, but it definitely wasn't set for me. Yeah. I'm what I was born into. I'm supposed to be the guy setting the trap. I'm supposed to be the doctor prescribing the that's not what it's the sad realization of what our country is. Like it or not, systemic racism exists. Like it or not, people are born into more advantageous lives than others. And it's one of those situations to where just somebody born into a wealthy family does not get to choose who their parents are any more than someone born into a poor family does. And
I think and I'm going to be honest. When we talked about this, I have, and you can, the idea of wealthy and poor to me is so there obviously is a line, but also that line gets moved based on, it's all perspective, man. Yeah. I mean, we had nothing when I moved here. I've told you about it. We had nothing. I lived in a house that was basically condemned. I mean, you could go through the alleyway and walk right into the kitchen because there was holes in the wall. Yeah. We got raided a few times because the cops thought it was a drug house, and it's me, my 2-year-old sister, and my parents had just had Zoe, our special needs, just been born. We're living in this house, right? And the cops kick in the door because they think, oh, people are, it's a drug house. We're going to come in here and clean up. And then my dad comes out in his boxers and they're like, you live here? And they're like, they can't even believe that a family, like we ate what we had.
Yeah.
If people brought us stuff, cool. Like that's just how it was. But also we've moved from there. I mean, you see now, like we've got a nice house, but also that's because my parents have been smart about how they spend their money. And I personally believe that a lot of that stuff is a blessing from God where we are now,
Yeah.
like and that's just how I see it, because we have people who have straight up been like, I want to bless you with this, here's some extra, whatever.
Sure.
Go, spend. I mean, I remember some Christmases, it's like, yeah, we're not really going to do Christmas this year. Like, we'll spend some time together with the family. And then out of nowhere, it's like, my dad's like, well, someone like said that they wanted to bless us. And they said, go, spend this for your family. And it's like, so we're going to go to like Disney, and it's like out of nowhere, it's like, whoa, okay, well, that's completely different. So my point is just like, but I also wasn't bitter living in that house.
Sure.
I was very satisfied to have a roof over my head. And I think part of that is the fact that I've had the opportunity to travel and see what real, like, real, why can't I think of the word? What's the word I'm looking for?
Poverty.
Poverty. Thank you. Yeah. What real poverty looks like. Watching, kids crawl out of a little tin box the size of this table and, stand on the highway and watch the cars go by for entertainment. Like that's, like, I don't know. I think people are too quick to complain about the situation that they're in versus actually trying to make a difference. And I'm not trying to get into the whole debate of wealth and people being born into stuff, because I was not, I wouldn't even consider my family wealthy. We don't, my parents do not. I mean, my mom doesn't work. My dad's a pastor, and that's his only job.
Yeah, like, but your dad also has put in the work. Your dad has good work ethic.
That's my point, though. It's like we don't make a ton of money. We just don't have any real expenses. Like we turned our carport, like we went out there and turned our carport into an apartment so that we could rent it to cover our mortgage. Like that's the type of stuff. Like that's the type of stuff that we do. Like my family just makes it work, and I think that the whole idea of like the American dream and all that is kind of bullcrap to me. Honestly, the way I've always seen it is that like the American dream, for like my dream of being here in America, is the fact that I have the freedom to do, like I have the ability and the freedom to make something of myself. Like I have the access to like a free market where I can actually like do something and better myself. You get what I'm saying? Like that's just not available in a lot of places. You don't get to become something unless you have money. You get what I'm saying? But and people might disagree with me. I don't know everyone's situation. I just know that for us, we didn't have to have money to get where we're at now. We got here because of the hard work that we put in. You get what I'm saying? And the opportunity for, the freedoms that we have has led to that. And I never want to see that taken away, because I could not imagine having to do what we did not in America. Like it just wouldn't have
Well, then for you,
happened.
This will be the most important thing for you, probably the most important, not thing, but one of the most important documents that, confirmation documents for you. And that's Project Mockingbird, which is, you hear people talk about the Mockingbird media, and that's what it's talking about. It is a confirmed CIA documentation that they were feeding news scripts to different news channels back in the 60s. And, is happening. Look, the mentality that people have today, all of that stuff, it's all based on this. It's all based on the content that they consume. Unfortunately, most people, like you said, do live in an echo chamber and don't listen to the other side's perspectives and everything. And it creates the culture that we live in today, which is not a pretty one. COVID-19 2020 culture is as toxic as it gets, dude. It just is.
Oh, it's awful. I hate it.
And it's all based on this. And it sucks that we talk about it all the time. You're only a couple clicks away from the truth most of the time.
But you don't.
But people just
people don't find
prefer. And then I have to listen to a bunch of 70-years talk about, here's my Parler handle. Get out of my face, man. Like, turn off the TV, go outside, and you didn't grow up in a world where the media like it is today was, if you would have seen that in the 60s or the 50s, whenever you were born, it would have been called the devil. It would have been called alien. It would have been called all this stuff. So don't give me your Parler handle. Nobody's going to follow you. Okay? Just stick to sharing QAnon on Facebook.
It seems so simple, but it just doesn't happen.
No, it doesn't. So this is
what it makes me mad that we are so close. Like, we're so close to not doing what we're doing right now, but we just can't seem to cross the threshold. We can't put aside our differences.
Yeah. Well, this here's on the Washington Post, and you could also get this on CIA.gov. It's just one paper. We're not going to go through every single
this is from the official
thing on the thing. Yeah, this is secret eyes only at one point, unredacted. This is Freedom of Information Act, and you can find this on CIA.gov. So this is what it says. Project Mockingbird, a telephone intercept activity was conducted between 12th of March 1963 and 15th of June 1963. And this all came out in the Church Committee, by the way, hearings in the 70s. Yeah. And targeted two Washington-based newsmen who, at the time, had been publishing news articles based on and frequently quoting classified materials of the agency and others, including top secret and special intelligence. Telephone intercept connections were installed at the newsman's office and each of their homes for a total of 3. The connections were established with the assistance of a telephone company official who responded to a personnel request by the Director of Security, Colonel Sheffield Edwards. Colonel Edwards' authority for the activity was Mr. John McCone, Director of of Central Intelligence. The latter conducted the activity coordination with Attorney General
you think
Mr.
that guy's still alive?
That guy,
the phone company guy.
No, I don't. This is these guys were really old at the time, and this is why I think that the latter conducted activity in coordination with the Attorney General, Mr. Robert Kennedy, who I watched a podcast with his son the other day. He was on Theo's podcast the other day, and he's old. That's why I think that
his son's old.
Yeah, his son's old. Yeah. That's why I think there's no way. Secretary of Defense Robert McNamara and Director of Defense Intelligence Joseph Carroll. In addition, the Office of Security Personnel directly involved in the intercepts and research of materials required therefrom. Only 3 other agencies officials are on record as witting to the activity: the Deputy Director of Central Intelligence, the Inspector General, and the General Counsel. So right there you have okay. I mean, it doesn't matter. Because it doesn't matter how many other people were witting to it, because it's the director of the CIA and 2 other, whatever. The intercept activity was particularly productive in identifying contacts of the newsmen, their method of operation, and many of their sources of information. For example, it was determined that during the period they received data from 13 newsmen, 12 of whom were identified, 12 senators, 6 members of Congress, all identified, 21 congressional staff members, of whom 11 were identified, 16 government employees, including a staff member of the White House, members of the Vice President's in-office, Assistant Attorney General, and other well-placed individuals. A number of the activity precluded positive identification. It was observed that through data, then they could use and pass some of the stories to other newsmen for release, establishing that many leaks appearing under other bylines were actually from the source of the targeted newsman. Since the termination of Project Mockingbird, those materials related to it which were retained, have been maintained under strict security access of 2 Office of Security professionals. So there it is right there. You know, you have the CIA leaking information to newsmen who then leak it down to other newsmen. And before you know it, your news is polluted with fake information that's given to them by government contractors, dude. And that's bizarre. And if you think that project has stopped, I mean, dude, it just hasn't. You know, all it takes is a person talking to a person. There's no way. So that's why I think that this is so important, dude. This is confirmation that these things that we consume, that you see on TV, they're nothing more than productions. I mean, we were talking about this morning, these Project Veritas things. None of this information should be surprising in the least bit. It's a production meeting.
All the tapes were just them talking about what they're already doing.
Yeah, it's a production meeting, dude. And as a producer who's produced, I've probably produced, you know, let's say, I don't know, a couple thousand services
probably more,
in my life.
Really.
And, you know, did production meetings for almost all of them. It sounds like a production meeting. That's it. You know. Yeah. So just pay attention to what you're listening to, man. And I'm not saying that based on, you know, the left-wing fake. I'm talking about all of it. I'm talking about all of it, because all of it is...
All it takes is one person to be like, oh, well, I heard this.
Yeah.
And then we're doing something different.
Yeah.
Doing an anti-regular, or truth, as the kids call it these days.
Yeah, I mean,
that still exists.
Think about whenever all the BLM protest stuff popped up. Remember we brought up that group of people that were claiming to be the new Black Panthers with the... You remember that?
Yeah.
Dude, it was 6 people marching around Atlanta in black leather jumpsuits and AR-15s. And how many news outlets covered that? A bajillion. You know, it was all over the place. And it's just one of those things where it's like, they're not the new anythings, dude. At the end of the day, it was just 6 people with ARs that said we're the new... That's it. And the news covers it how they want. They're going to push it how they want. And that's it, man. You know, that's it. Where in the world's Ghislaine Maxwell? You know what I'm saying? How about this news? Where's the mugshot from the Ghislaine Maxwell arrest?
Yeah, what's that about, dude?
Where's that at? You know?
They said they arrested her. They actually just took her to some, private island or something.
Dude, they had somebody, one of her friends had like, who were they talking to? I don't know, but it came out that one of her friends basically was like, they're mistreating her in there. Like she's got like 2 pairs of clothes and like, it's like, dude.
No, man. No.
Yeah,
dude,
what are you talking about?
You're lucky you're still alive.
Yeah.
Dude.
Her boyfriend would have been dead a long time ago by now. So, and because he is.
Because
he is.
Because that's exactly what happened. They're mistreating her. They only gave her 2 pairs of clothes, dude.
Yeah.
Do you know what we would have done? Do you know what would have happened to these fools if like this was happening
back in the day?
Like in the West. In the Wild West, dude. Yeah. You wouldn't have they would not have even hung you. They would have hog-tied you, tied you to a horse, slapped the horse, and you would have just died from like getting drug across gravel.
Yeah, the
desert. They would not care.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that we should be doing that to people, but we need less nonsense, dude. That's what I'm saying.
The news should be doing a better job at covering the stuff that's relevant.
We should all be doing a better job at caring.
Yeah, we should. You're right.
That's my thing. Well, here's my thing, dude. It's like we are the people of America.
The youth of the nation.
Yeah. Sure. We are the people of America. We make up all of these different groups and organizations. Like, that's us, dude.
America.
So if we change, the system changes.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like we can't sit here and blame our problems on everything else when it's us.
Yeah.
And when I say it's us, like it's me too, dude. Like we all have to. I have to consciously decide to be patient with people. Like
Yeah.
I have to, and I feel like I talk a lot on the podcast. I don't know. You've seen me in conversations with people around. Like I try not to say too much.
Yeah.
Because I want to hear what other people say.
Yeah.
And that, dude, if we had, let's say we had 40%, less than half of our nation just do that. Can you imagine the difference it would make if everyone just shut up for 5 seconds and just listened?
Turn off your screens. Go out there and
go
grow
smoke
corn
a
or
cigarette or something.
grow a piece of corn. Yeah, something.
I can't. I mean, I can grow a piece of corn. I can't smoke a cigarette though.
Yeah.
It's not allowed. Yeah.
Don't do it, dude. Well, dude, let's get out of here, man.
If I'm smoking, everyone, if I'm smoking, y'all better know it's not a cigarette. It's a dang pipe.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get one of the long ones from the Hobbit or something.
Yeah. You say that now, dude. They'll be cracking it before you know it.
All right.
I'm just being real with you. Well, let's get out of here, dude. Thank y'all for watching. If you want to follow us on Twitter, you can. I am at TBAT Quinn.
And you might as well not follow me because Twitter's tech support hasn't contacted me back, and it's been how long? A month?
Yes.
Yay! Dude, and I can't get into my account, so...
Dude, you're like hard banned from Twitter. Like, not even like, they just won't even, you're ghost banned.
Yeah, like I have
you.
contacted them several times, and the response I've gotten is no response.
Yeah.
I got one response the first time that was, hey, have you tried logging in?
Yeah.
And then that's the whole email. And I was like,
yeah.
Yeah. That's why I'm emailing you.
Yeah. Well, dude. All right. Well,
Here, how about this, dude? Don't follow me on Twitter, but
follow him on Parler.
DM Twitter on Twitter if they have an account. I'm sure they do.
At Jack.
Yeah. Contact him and do the whole free Skinny Rick thing.
Yeah. Also tell him to get a cooler haircut.
At TBAT Skinny Rick.
All right, dude. Let's get out of here. We'll be back next week to talk about something else. It was supposed to be a short one today, but it wasn't, and that's good. And I'm wearing a TBAT hoodie right here. So if that's something you're into,
can they see the back?
Holla at me.
Can you show them the back or no?
Yeah, I can. What's that?
The microphone's in the way. Hang on. I'll do the.
Do a tilt up or two.
I'll do a. This one? No. Which one is it? It's this one.
This is the back of it right here.
Here. There you go. See? It's out of frame. All right. That's it. There it is.
Yeah. So you can get one of those there. $dollars.
For however many dollars it costs to make
for
them.
$$1 million. And so we'll get you one if you want one.
That's that Biden pricing, dude.
Yeah.
And and that's not that's not a political joke. That's just Biden's
Okay. Well, let's get out of here. All right. Thank y'all again, and we'll catch y'all next week.